Hi folks, here we are. I think the last episode. I took the clamps off just because they were in the way. I was sitting there in the corner since we were last here, but I haven't done anything since then. So let's have a close look at this. Come on in, Fred. I was a little disappointed. It may not come out as bad as I thought. You see, we managed to close these. That one didn't. I don't like that. We might have to fix it. Depends on what it looks like after we've planed it. This one looked all right. That one, a little bit right there. And a little bit right there. Don't get too close. Now, why did that happen? Well, I'll save my reasons and excuses for the end. The only other thing I'm concerned about is, you see this? I don't like that. See how that didn't close? And that's not fixable. Anyway, we'll see how it looks when we're done. Alright, so what we're going to do, before I finish the bottom, at the top, the sliding top, I want to clean this all up. So I'm going to use my old Stanley, and I want that blade to be in absolutely pristine condition, because this is going to be the final finish. Remember, there's no sanding on this. I had a screwdriver here, remember, going here. So bear with me when I sharpen, and while I'm doing this, I'm going to use this little small plane for cutting the chamfers, and they're necessary in order to plane without tearing out fiber, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to put an edge on that as well. That's working perfectly. That's difficult to sharpen because it's so small. Okay, you've seen this before. Hopefully you've got it down. 16,000 and 1,000. We've had some requests for people that would like to participate but don't have high-speed internet where they live. Set that on the primary bevel, raise up slightly to put these on discs. So we're experimenting with putting them on Blu-ray because we're filming in high def, and I've seen it. It's pretty impressive. By the time you see it on the screen, what's the difference, Frick? Give them that
well, it
tech talk.
It has to go down resolution just so that it's easier to view online. You don't get the full quality.
So how much difference on a Blu-ray disc?
It's probably about 3 or 4 times the quality, that at least.
Alright, so I don't know what it's going to cost, but if you're interested, let us know and we'll pursue it a little further.
It'd also be an easier way to watch it on a bigger screen, or
see the whole thing.
Yeah, if they want to watch it at home.
Okay, so that one's ready to go. Love that ruler trick. It saves so much time. Now this is difficult just because it's so hard to hold on to. In fact, I've seen somebody where they actually made a little handle out of wood, which wouldn't be a bad idea, but this doesn't get enough use to warrant needing to be sharpened more than once. I think it's been over a year since I've done this. Find the primary, raise up off of it. This is on the 1000 grit stone. Work this until I can detect a slight burr. On the back side, I'm going to go a little bit further. Yeah. Come over here to the 16,000. And then on this one I can't make it all the way to the edge, so I've got the end of the blade on the little ruler, and then just move it within 1/4 of an inch. Not in one spot, moving up and down. That should be all it takes. Okay. This is also a difficult plane to set up too, because it's so hard to get at things underneath there. It's so low. Lever cap on. And I typically set this up so that I project more on one side than the other. And what that allows for is a fine setting and a coarse setting, because I don't want to have to come back in and change this every time. I'll get it and then I'll get you to look down the sole. Okay. You see down there? Let me look in your screen at the same time. I don't know if you can see it or not. But the blade's projecting a little higher on one side than it is on the other. So I know that if I want a heavy cut, I can use one side. If I want a light cut, I use the opposite. Alright, put the lever cap, the chip breaker on. I can just squeeze this box in the tail vise, not too tight, but it should hold it well enough that I can line it up. That blade set. Now this is one of the real advantages to having your sharpening system close by and being able to do it freehand so that you can do it quickly. Anytime you need to get that finished cut, you're only a minute or so away. Now I want to make sure my hands are nice and clean. I don't want to get this dirty. So the first thing I'm going to do is flush this up so I can feel with my finger that this is, the sides are higher than the end. I'll save the end pieces for last because, as you can tell, I'm going to be squeezing them between the bench dogs. I'm going to reference as best I can off of this other side. Now I gotta get the blade out. Okay, just parallel to the sole. This is difficult to reference off of, and I want to keep it. I want to keep that square, so I'll reference off of the other side, and then just come on here. Now I'm going to be slow because I've got to be careful. I want to make sure that I'm not going against the grain. I don't want any tears. This is the top side, so it's going to be very visible. And I'm skewing the plane as extremely as I am simply because I want to be able to reference the other end of the plane off of the opposite side. And before I get down too low on that one, I'm lucky because I can go same direction on both sides. That wasn't planned. That leaves that so nice and clean. Fricky, you picking up on that sound?
I think so.
Want to be careful as you get toward the end. Oops. Almost there. Okay, so that is now flush, and this one's close, so come in and finish this one. I can take one more. All right, now see if we can just finish that off. That might have gone better if I went the other direction. Right. Take one more pass on this side. got to be careful. Alright, now I'll flip that over. Bottom. Oh, yow. Not up high enough. Actually, first I should have that in line with this board, and that'll prevent it from pushing those ends in. Alright, so on this one, this is proud. The end is proud right here. It's almost flush there. The end is proud there. And this one. So this is kind of a mixed bag. So I may have to go all the way around. I'm going to retract the blade even more. Not quite enough. Right. I'll save that for the last. First thing I'm going to do is try to get everything flush. Big old gaping hole is staring me in the face. I was going to say it's a good thing it's on the bottom, but if you've ever noticed, whenever anybody picks up a piece of anything you make, the first thing they want to do is turn it over and look at the bottom. I've yet to figure out what the fascination is with the bottom, but must be where they figure they're going to find out all your secrets. So what I'm doing here is trying to make a pass that goes all the way around. So as I get to the corner, I'll turn the plane, come down to this end, and then turn the plane, hoping to avoid any planing across the grain, or at least minimize it as much as possible. However, you get the blade really sharp. See, I want to get rid of that rough spot patch right there. That almost looks like when I was dimensioning that, I left that spot. I was going to say, if you get the blade sharp enough, it'll do just about anything you want. And I got to get rid of that, so I was going to take a bit more. Now I'm watching through the throat to see what's going on, and I know when to turn the plane. Obviously everything is flush or else it wouldn't be working. And you can't hurry it up, meaning I can't just set the blade to take a heavier pass, because if I do, I'll run the risk of tearing something. Another couple passes. You see the area I'm working on right here?
Yep.
Just left a little bit rough. You know what you should do? Can you get over my shoulder and look down so that you're looking right into the throat of the plane? Let them see what I'm seeing. Alright, this may be a bit awkward, but try over this side. No, over here.
Oh, no.
Look down, try to look where I go. Okay, so I've got the plane skewed, light cut. So we're looking right down in here. And I get toward the end, then I'm going to swing it around, being careful to keep the plane level. Now I'm touching, this part of the plane is touching the opposite end, so it's allowing me to keep it level without having to bounce it on this narrow side. Get this out of the way. When I get here, I then swing around. Get to this side, swing around, and pull it forward. And there. Now one more will perfect it. By the way, I didn't like what I did on the bottom. It's too late to do anything about it. But it didn't come off looking like I wanted. Whoops.
Be a good time to remind people that they can upload their own photos of what it should look like. I'm just kidding.
This is, I don't know whether the wax or what, it looks dirty already. I wanted that rough from the, let me show you something. I think I did on the bottom of this. I wanted it rough from the scrub plane. Now I did this intentionally, but if you look at the bottom of this chest, you can see how, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's scalloped.
Yep.
And I did it a different way. Anyway, I didn't pull it off on that one. But it's all about the intentions, right? Okay, so we've got the edges are done. Now we've got to plane the ends. Now I'm looking at the grain, and you can see that it appears that we want to plane in this direction. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can hold this somehow. This is going to be a little bit awkward because that's not going to sit in there the way I want. So I need to get something that's about this size.
What about this?
Yeah, I might, yes. It's actually, well, that or this piece. It's a little bit too small, so you're right, I'm going to use this one. You're starting to pay attention to this even closer, Fred. Good thing you know you want my job. Okay, so put this in the vise. Don't squeeze it too much. Okay. Now here's what we need to be worried about. When I get too far, I run the risk of breaking these fibers off. So I'm going to come in. I'm going to check it on this board first. See how heavy of a cut I'm getting. I'm just going to come in here and cut fairly small chamfer right here on the end. I don't want it any heavier than that. That's just to protect those fibers from breaking off. Wax this. Can't apply a lot of pressure. Okay, the blade seems to be cutting a little bit more on one side than the other, so. Okay, that's a little bit too heavy, so I'm going to retract that blade. Now, I'm flush down here, but I'm not here, so I got to pay attention to that. So I'm going to plane, but only halfway, until I get caught up with the opposite end. Not going all the way over yet. Slow down when you get near the ends. I'm just feeling with my finger to see when I'm flush. I pull those shavings out in the end for a couple reasons. Number one, I don't want them getting stuck on the bottom. And number two, most of the time when I'm planing, I'm looking in the throat to see what's going on. And obviously I can't see if the shaving's sitting there. More wax. If you skew your plane, you lower the cutting angle. And sometimes that will be a little more effective, and other times it won't. You just have to experiment. Still seem to be a little bit high on the right side, so move that over. Got to go really slow at that end so that you don't, the speed can make the difference between these fibers breaking off and not breaking off. I can't fully explain that. I just know from experience that sometimes it will. So as you get toward the end, slow down and just take a nice controlled cut. Okay, that's flush across there. I still got a pen mark up here or not. Go for the final pass on this. Come in and cut that chamfer. When you're cutting that chamfer too, you want to be careful of those fibers right there that you don't break those out. So sometimes it pays to just come from the opposite direction right here at the end. Wax. I should be able to cover this surface in 2 passes, but just to be sure, I'm taking sometimes a pass down the middle so I don't end up having that uneven. That's flush, that's not. Okay, it's flush down here, it isn't down here, so I've got to concentrate removing material down here. Easiest way to do it is to plane and then lift the plane off while you're still pushing forward. Then you don't end up with a, I'll show you what happens if you don't. If you just stop like that, now you've got to deal with something like that. I don't want that. So instead, I'll plane and lift it off while in motion, or disengage while in motion. Okay. This is flush, so we'll take full length, finished pass. I don't know why sometimes this plane leaves that string in the middle. One more. Do the ends. Should be able to just hold that. Leather jaws on the leather face on that jaw really does a nice job. It holds the wood more securely and it doesn't leave any marks. Okay, now this end's going to be a bit tricky because we have these pieces to deal with, and I don't want to. Okay, could him come in close here, Frick. I don't want to. I've got to plane one way or the other. I've got to check that first. Okay, I'm planing in this direction. Oh, I'm sorry, I should show you. It appears that the fibers are running this way, so I'm going to plane from this side to this end. So, in the process of doing that, these ends are going to be flush as well. And if I were just to plane straight, I run the risk of breaking off fibers right here, and of course breaking off fibers on the back side. Well, I can fix the back side easy enough, because I just got to come in there and cut a little chamfer. Don't even need to do it up here, but I'm just doing it to keep it even with this side. Now, if it was a little bit easier, I could get in there with a chisel and just cut. It's making more of a mess. That needs to be sharper in order to do that. It isn't. Alright, I'm going to try doing it this way and see what happens. Maybe what I'll do is I'll plane carefully is the word. Okay, this is high because I can feel it. Alright, I'm going to take time to sharpen this. It's got to be right. And as you can see just the edge starting to break down. Can you see that? And it's got to be pristine in order for it to cut that end grain and not make a mess. Get a burr. Refine it. Remove it. Okay. Now, it's just going to make it easier. I'm going to plane this way. So, it's easier to get at this little surface right there than it is to try to do the same thing on that one. And I will just plane these down. Small amount. I'll do the same thing on. So that one I don't have to worry about because I can address the same problem on the back side as I already have done with the small block plane. It's still high. Fingers. Okay. We're out of time? What are we at?
30.
30? So does that mean we need to go to another episode, or are we gonna?
Unless you can wrap it up.
No, I don't want to be rushed.
Okay.
Okay, well, that part of the box is done. I'm actually gonna go ahead, let's end with, I wanna wax that just to protect it, because it sits around here between now and the time that we film the next one, and we'll end up with fingerprints. And then when I'm handling it, when I'm fitting the lid, I won't have to worry about getting it dirty. And I didn't like that wax I used the last time, at least not for the job at hand, so I'm gonna try a different one. Just experiment with a piece of pine. The only thing I'm afraid of is I don't want to introduce any color at all. Which I think is exactly what that's going to do. Is it or isn't it? Well, I gotta find the right one. Alright, I'm gonna do a little searching and find a better wax finish for this. So instead of hurrying it, I'll do it right. So we'll see you back here for our final episode. I'm not gonna bother saying that anymore. All we gotta do is get the lid finished. Okay, see you soon.